I clicked it. It should be live. It's pretty much live now, but yeah.
Okay,
We're just
cool.
going.
All right. So we are live, guys.
You give me for like 10 seconds.
I'm here. What's that?
It's fine, actually. Just keep going.
Yeah. We're live now. We're live. Welcome to our 50,000 subscriber live stream special. I'm just gonna hit straight to the point, guys. So, if you hate capitalism so much, why are you on YouTube? You make money off capitalism on your channel and you're here criticizing it all the time. Aren't you such a hypocrite? So I know this comments we're going to come around at some point. And to be honest, YouTube isn't really capitalist because it's not wage labor, but that's a different story. Bottom line still stands. I have been thinking a lot. Yeah, as this channel grows and, I start to make money off it, I start to become more successful at it. It is a valid question, am I going to eventually become a part of the system that I railed against so much, and lose touch with the people, my audience, all of you. And I've seen it happen to a lot of my role models, a lot of people I looked up to, a lot of people who kind of had humble beginnings. Then they make it and they become arrogant. They totally lose touch and they just become the problem they once railed against. And I really, really wanted to figure out a way of how not only I could avoid it, but how I could do something to give back to the rest of the community as well, so that we can actually somewhat envision a post-capitalist world together. Not even capitalist if, you're one of those people who likes capitalism, but just a world beyond this wage slave system that we can all agree on isn't working. So this is what we're doing, guys. We have officially, in celebration of our 50,000 subscriber milestone, thank you all so much for that. We have officially launched a merch store with a bunch of t-shirts. Chris, can you quickly go to the t-shirts and just go to the t-shirt page for now. We'll show you guys. We got a bunch of t-shirts that you guys will absolutely love here. Now, the more important thing about this is the business model. So, instead of, I decided, okay, I could be a greedy capitalist boss. I worked on this with with an artist, David, by the way, who you guys will meet soon. Big fan from the beginning of the channel, and we've been talking about solutions a lot. So here's how this business model works and how it's different from a traditional capitalist wage slave model. So instead of paying David a flat, like, fixed hourly wage and just say, okay, you get a shitty $7.25 an hour and I take the rest of it in profits off your work. Yeah. What we're going to do is I'm actually giving David 50% of all profits from every single shirt, comic book sale on this website because he worked on it alongside the rest of us. And I believe that's the good principle to have. So if you support us, guys, you're not just supporting the channel and getting an awesome t-shirt, but you're also helping us envision a world beyond capitalism and this wage slave system, this bullshit boomer economy we're all forced to live under. Because I hear you guys, a lot of y'all have been saying, yeah, bro, you complain about the problems all the time. We agree with you, but can you offer us something better? Can you offer a solution? Well, I'm certainly not arrogant enough to think I know all the solutions, but this is my best effort at least starting it off. At least attempting to start to create something objectively better for all of our futures. Okay, so the first shirt we got, check it out. Who are you supporting this World Cup? I don't watch it. I'm still an American in that regard. Soccer's too boring for me. Sorry. All right. Moving on. I'd rather live than work a 9 to 5. You guys know we all popularized I'd rather die than work a 9 to 5, which is great, but I think we can do a step better, and think about like how we're actually going to, because I'd rather die than live a 9 to 5 is like a bit defeatist, yeah? And how are we going to change the world if we just die? So if we live instead of working a 9 to 5, That's how we're gonna start it, right? Okay. Chris, can you go to the next shirt, the minimum wage one? This is one I know you guys are absolutely gonna love. It's uh punchline I wish I personally could take credit for. Um, but it's something one of you guys commented. I just thought it was so good. So we actually made a whole shirt out of it. Minimum wage, minimum effort. Yup, that's right. The free market goes both ways, you asshole boomer employers. Yeah, like you get what you pay for, which includes labor. So yeah, you guys will love this shirt, I'm sure. And by the way, all these shirts are $20. Ideally, we want to get the cost down more eventually because we know that the economy sucks right now and, it's hard to afford anything these days. Unfortunately, since we're going through like print on demand now, our overhead costs are quite high with this, but eventually we want to get to a point where we can lower the cost and make it accessible for everyone. And then okay, Chris, let's go to the last shirt here.
I don't think it's the last one, but yeah.
Oh yeah. We have two more. Yeah. This one's simple. Just redefine success. Our classic, what you even call it, slogan of our YouTube banner. And yeah, y'all know what this is about. We're not gonna let society dictate what success is anymore. We're going to do it our way. Okay, and then you can go ahead and show the last one now.
Yes, here.
Yeah, and finally, I stand with We the People. By the way, all these had either were heavily influenced or totally designed by our artist David, and which is again why if you guys are just joining, this merch store represents not just a way to support the channel, but a world beyond this broken capitalist system we've all had to live under, where we're all working shitty low wages, and the boss scrapes the rest. I have specifically gone out of my way to make sure the artists receive 50% of all the profits, and we are not doing the broken hourly system. Okay, let me answer a few quick questions, then I'll hand it over to David. Have you heard of distributism, gamer? I have heard of it. I'll probably do a video about it soon. I'll keep you updated on that. Our dependence on corporations is why we were forced to get the vax. Yeah, exactly. This is why, there's a lot of criticism about UBI that like, oh, what happens if the government takes away your check for not getting the vax? Well, we all saw the exact same shit, even worse with work, and depending on a corporation for a paycheck. How many corporations, fire people for not getting the vaccine? Exactly my point. Anyways, before I ramble on too much about that, third positionism for the win. Yeah, exactly. Geoism is really promising. Made a video about that. I think it's the perfect balance and offers solutions better than both the horrors of communism and capitalism, which, by the way, as much as people would like to accuse me of it, I am not, in fact, actually a communist. Um, anyways, okay, awesome. Got 22 in the chat right now. Not bad for the start. Okay, I will now hand it over to David. David, feel free to join whenever you want, and you can talk about whatever you want, your comic, whatever, anything.
Okay, cool. I don't know if I'm on the camera or not.
Yes, you are.
All right, cool. So, I'm David Alexander. I'm the founder of Mjolnir here, the organization. So I actually came to know Phil back when he was at only 6K subscribers. So seeing this growth has been absolutely phenomenal. So I want to congratulate him as well as his editor, Chris. And guys in the chat, be sure to show Chris some love too. It takes a lot of work to edit this stuff. I've done video editing. I hate it. It's such a chore. So be sure to let Chris know how much you guys appreciate him for keeping this channel running for you guys. So congratulations to you both for getting all the way to 50,000 subscribers. That is a huge milestone. Not very many people make it that far. So Mjolnir has been an idea kind of floating around the back of my head for almost a decade at this point. Something like I lost track, but originally I thought the answer was going to come from just, oh, you start a business but you just run it better, you treat people better. Unfortunately, what happens when the founder either dies, retires, or steps away, or whatever happens? Because at some point things end up in the hands of someone else. And most of the companies that we complain about these days did not start out that way. Some of them actually were pretty good to the employees and to their workers once upon a time. Like Walt Disney himself, when he founded the Disney company, after some of their early successes with their films, he paid for his artists to go to art school. Like he paid for that education and gave them all raises. So once upon a time, people were rewarded, but then how did it get to where it is today? And it's because systematically we basically reward bad behavior. We reward people for getting the rewards of, the profits, but not taking the accountability that should accommodate that. So what I wanted to create with Mjolnir is say we need to find a better structure that better incentivizes things. So as you heard Phil mention, like right now, nobody owes anybody money unless a shirt sells. So nobody gets a cut of anything. It's not like, oh, somebody has to pay membership dues or somebody's getting like nobody's making money unless things sell. And part of Mjolnir is that so I am an artist. I've made 3 of the 4 shirt designs that you saw. Actually, several of those, just flash them on screen real fast, but they're actually hand drawn. So you'll see in the descriptions of which shirt is which. But that's just a cool little bonus to get to go away from the AI generated stuff by making some stuff by hand. And you guys may have recalled that there was a while ago that they had me on a stream about supporting Gen Z artists, and this is kind of like the next step of that. So they had gotten, it's actually sitting right over here, you can barely see it, but right there's the printer that I've been making all these comic books on, and they're available on the website for anyone who's interested. You can get the entire volume 1 arc, so you get 3 chapters, comes in a little bag, and get 3 books and a little bonus book. But I do have books in retail stores right now. So I'm learning how to get products into a physical location. All 3 stores have sold copies of the books. So I've got 2 record stores and a comic book shop right now, and we'll be adding more as time goes on. Because the whole point of this exercise is to figure out how do we get things into the physical world and how do we create that infrastructure so other artists and other creators can eventually get involved here. So that's the whole concept is rather than a traditional, big corporate umbrella, you can think of it more as either a shared network or the technical term is a federation. That is what we're looking to establish here is a federation of creators and eventually co-ops. So that ways people again are rewarded for actually creating value. So like I don't make any money unless I have moved a book, I've moved a product. Same thing with Phil here. Unless one of the shirts sell, then he doesn't get anything. And this way, everyone's incentives are aligned that we have to be good to the customers and good to each other, which is how business should be. Because at the end of the day, you're probably not going to vote your way out of this one. Hate to break it to you. You're probably not going to find some politician that if he just gets all the votes, then suddenly everything's magically going to get better. I don't think violent revolution is a good idea for so many reasons. I don't advocate for that. I think really the best thing to do is just don't need a lot of these big power structures. Learn to rely on each other, support local farmers, local artists, any local business you can. But local businesses tend to struggle against the big corporations because of that infrastructure. You're dealing with economies of scale. Most people cannot deal with the leverage that these big companies have. So that is where the idea comes in of the federation is let's start pooling people together and pooling their knowledge and their resources because people are stronger together than by themselves. So I see Phil's internet. We lost him on the call here. Yeah, this is why we do things. And people wonder why I draw the books and make them by hand because technology is not always reliable. Let me see if we got anything in the chat here, but
he'll be back. His computer crashed. 1 second.
oh, cool. Yeah. Well, Chris, do you want to say anything? I don't. You don't get to. You're not on here talking a lot.
Not that
Because
much to be
he
honest.
also helped with the shirts. He helped with the one we got right here, minimum wage. That's his design right there. So if any of you guys want to get that shirt, that's Chris's, all him right there.
Yeah, I fully
I
agree
like
with
the
the
way that one turned
idea
out.
that we have to work together to kind of just step away from the system that is currently built and build our own, or at least try to step towards the right direction. Because we've seen that the conventional paths of voting and stuff just hasn't really worked for a long time. That's really all I have to say
Yeah.
about this.
Real quick too. I don't know if this will come out on the camera, but this shirt that I'm wearing right now was so we're using Printful for the fulfillment of the shirts at the moment. I am researching about how we can get the shirt production in-house as well. But the shirt that I'm currently wearing is a shirt from Printful, so I can attest to the quality of these shirts. I've actually had this one for a few years, and graphics on this have still. I don't. I can't get it on the camera very well here, but the graphics have still held up. You might be able to see it a little bit. Like it's not really peeling or anything. So it's done. I've washed this plenty of times, so it's held up over the years. Again, we would like to get the production of everything in house eventually, because that obviously allows us to better control the prices, the labor practices, and so forth, and also keep the prices fair to customers. But for the time being, just to get started, we're using Printful. So basically, what that means is if you order one of the shirts, then that shirt doesn't exist, and then it gets made the moment you place your order. And I'm kind of doing something similar with the comics as well, that I have enough stock printed, but then I will bind and trim like the final book when I get an order. So I'm testing that out as well. We got a question here, sir. Is there a way for any of us Gen Z artists to apply to be designing your shirts? So we got from Richard here. We don't currently have like a formal application process. Like we're just trying to get this stuff started. However, I know that Phil's got a Discord server, and I too have a Discord server. So all of that is on the website there, Miraneer.com. You can go to those links. Discord's probably the best way to reach me because I'm the one that's running the back end of the website right now. So if you have any interest in kind of partnering with us, just reach out to me directly and we can talk more about it. So at the moment, I don't have a formal, oh, we're going to, have people apply because we're just starting to get stuff moving. But the goal of all this
All right,
is to create
finally
infrastructure.
back. Sorry about that.
Hey, there we go.
My computer always finds the most convenient time to crash out and need to
Yeah.
install some updates. Yeah, you guys hold down the fort, okay?
Yeah, I was just giving them my manifesto of taking over the entire world. Good stuff.
Nice, nice. Okay, continue on. Don't let me
Yeah.
interrupt you.
So, but yeah, we had one of your commenters here, Richard, asking about if there's ways to apply to design shirts. And so all I'm saying is for the time being, we don't have a formal application process, but either on Phil's Discord server or the Miraneer Discord server, again, both of those are linked on the website. And of course, Phil in his video descriptions often has those things linked. Just reach out to me. I'm David Alexander on Discord as well, so pretty easy to find me. I've got the my main cartoon character Morgan as my icon, so fairly easy to find me on either of those. Just send me a message if you have. Oh, the invite's invalid. Richard, if you're on the philosophical gamer Discord, then you can find me. I'll just even type it in the chat for you. Yeah, just shoot me a message. I'll update. I don't know why that invitation's not working, so I'll have to update that. But yeah, you could just shoot me a message and we can talk more about it. So we don't have an official process as of right now for getting other artists in, but that is what we're working on building the infrastructure of. Because like I said, I've currently got products in 3 retail locations. So the comic itself has been done in chapter format, so you can get volume 1 just as chapters. But I am working
Sorry,
on getting some materials together to
can
make a
people actually hear me?
full volume.
Yes,
Yeah,
we
I
can
hear you.
Okay, sorry, my microphone went out again. David, can you give me a quick second to just answer some questions?
Yeah,
Real
yeah.
quick?
Of course.
Yeah. So Crystal Kirlia, can you make a list of countries that are safe for young, vulnerable people, please? Um,
I have a good idea, I would say still, but I've realized now I moved out of the US like 10 years ago at this point, so a lot's changed, so I'll have to take my time to research it. Right off the top of my head, I would say the best options right now are Albania and Georgia. Very cheap, very affordable, very safe from what I heard. And unlike the EU and other places that are common for expats, those countries like there's like hardly any visa hassles. Like you just show up with an American passport and they just let you in for a year. It's I guess it's not entirely safe because of the whole Russia war thing, but I don't think I could be wrong. So, don't take my word without doing your own research. But from what I hear, Russia's like rapidly running out of resources, and this Ukraine war can't go on forever. And I question whether they'll even take over all of Ukraine, let alone be able to expand beyond that. So Albania and Georgia would be right off the top of my head the the best the best options. What's your opinion on Xbox and the possibility of return of consoles wars? I mean the PS5 is obviously better. I'll have to wait to see just to see the actual system though and test it out. I'm thinking about moving to Argentina or Uruguay depending on the results of the 2028 election. What do you think of these nations? Miss K is right here. Yeah, BlackRock CEO moved there too. I heard Peter Thiel moved there, and oh my, that guy is the worst billionaire. I'm telling you guys. Like he makes Elon Musk, Sam Altman, Mark Zuckerberg, like all the classic ones you hate. Like he makes all those guys look like saints. If you ever seen the dark shit he's been up to, especially with
Wasn't
Palantir. Yeah,
wasn't Teal the one who was like, he doesn't even know if humanity should survive?
yeah,
Was
yeah.
that him?
Like
Yeah,
the
that was
reporter
insane.
Oh
asked
yeah.
him, "Do you think yeah, humanity should exist?" And yeah, he actually paused a long time before answering that question, which was yeah, just shows you who's running the world right now. Poland is great. Yeah, yeah. Poland is awesome too, for sure. Russia is running dry. I gotta do it on damn. That pisses me off so much. Like old guys sending young. I have a theory in mind. You guys can tell me what you think of this. I think if I were to ever become president one day, I would make a rule that like the president cannot declare war unless he himself is physically willing to go on the battlefield to fight alongside the young men he sends to war. And that's not a very outrageous perspective, historically speaking, because if you look at the Roman emperor, the best Roman emperors all went on the battlefield with their soldiers too. So, why should modern day politicians not be held to the same standard? So, if Trump wants to start a war in Iran, he himself should go on the front line, learn to pick up a gun and fight too, instead of just throwing a bunch of young guys' lives into the gutter,
The
into the
System of
garbage
a Down.
work.
You know that song? Why don't
Yeah,
presidents
yeah,
fight
yeah.
the war? Why do they always send the poor?
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah, yeah, exactly. Good idea, gamer. Thank you. Love that. I have a draft politicians for. Oh, we got to do this. Okay,
Uh,
whoever gave this idea. All right. What do you think of this T-shirt idea? Draft politicians for World War III.
I think it's good. He
I
already
love it.
has a shirt
I
like
love.
that, but yeah, that's definitely a cool
I love it.
slogan.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. We'll think. Send the rich people to war. That profit off. Yeah, yeah. If I even wanted to be extremely generous to capitalists here and to the rich and just be like, okay, you can profit off anything you want. You can even profit off. I don't think you should profit off war, but if I wanted to be gener- uh generous to them and say you can profit off anything, okay, if you want to profit off war, go fight the war yourself. And you can profit as much as you want off it. If you're not going to go fight yourself, then fuck off trying to send me to a draft.
yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Dave, you could go ahead. Continue. Just yeah. Wanted to answer
Uh,
a couple questions. Yeah.
yeah. No, it just
Do you want to talk
because
about the comics or show them your comics a bit or
yeah.
whatever you
Well,
like?
like the goal with all of it is just trying to build the infrastructure so that way is yes, I'm publishing comics, but I eventually want to be able to build stuff that can publish for other people as well, which is why I'm trying to learn how to do all this. And the same thing with so right now, I'm working on a first album that I'm recording, so trying to learn about how to get like a lot of this is a physical media first kind of thing, because of the fact that, well, number one, you actually get to own something rather than endlessly renting everything. But number two is that I think it was kind of the big corporate side of things with the rise of the early internet that taught people that, like, if you have a friend who's a plumber, you don't expect him to come over and, fix your toilet for free, because that's a job that you have to pay for. Meanwhile, when it comes to more creative things like art, there's this expectation of, oh, well, you should do it for free because it's fun. It's a lot of work, though. It's not all fun. Um, I mean, every single one of
I
these
would say
pages
it's the same thing
is,
with YouTube. Like it's all fun until like you actually
yeah.
build. And I'm
Oh,
not
no.
complaining about my job because I mean I understand I'm still in privilege, but YouTube's a lot of hard work, and
Oh,
you
yeah.
know, yeah. Any kids who ask me, who want to be a YouTuber, I never discourage anyone from their dreams. I'm just saying, like, it's definitely not all fun and games and looking pretty on camera and stuff. There's a lot of
Yeah.
days where you're tired. Yeah.
No, that's actually why I kind of focus more on the physical media because I'm like, I don't want to just make something just to have to make something. I respect the hell out of what you can do because it's a lot of work, and we want to reward people for actually doing work rather than having this attitude of, oh, well, you just do that for free. It's like, well, some asshole is like day trading crypto and is making six figures or even seven figures. Like, that's not creating value. You're not contributing to the society. You're not contributing to the world. You're not contributing to humanity. You're siphoning value off the top that other people made. So,
Yeah.
hang on, we got a
Real
comment here.
quick,
What?
yeah, you're absolutely right. That this is why it's so reminiscent of actual slavery. Like it's not because that's what actual slave owners did, and now it's just you get a fixed hourly wage. But I've talked about that in hundreds of videos.
Um, we've got a comment here I might be able to attest to because we got someone asking
um,
here, what do I do as
yeah,
a Zoomer with a family,
yeah, yeah,
wife,
go
and
ahead.
two kids?
Yeah,
Um, so I mean, I myself don't have that, but I can still give my strategy on it because I've thought a lot about it because I would like to have that. And I did see someone else earlier mentioning about how like people aren't having kids much anymore, but I think most people would like to. Like, I don't think you should say, oh, I'm going to give up on family and kids just to like stick it to the man because like you're the one who loses in that. I think what I would recommend is really try to find and like I said, what I'm doing here, what we're trying to create here with Miraneer, hopefully can become that. But as of this moment, it's still just getting started. So it's not like it's making enough money or it's big enough to suddenly go offer this guy a job. That'd be great if we were there yet, but we're not there yet. But that is the goal. In the meantime, though, what I can say is I don't know what your particular skills are. I think the best thing to do is try to find a way to like kind of make your own money because it's the wage slave job, is only going to pay a set hourly wage. It's designed to basically keep you working all the time, and you're gonna really miss out on being there with family and all as the years go by of doing that. And for what? For a job that can kick your ass to the curb in 2 seconds. Just as a little example, I had a friend of mine, whether you love it or hate it, he was working for Pfizer, and he was being promoted to manager, and they just fired his whole department right before Christmas. So this guy is making multi-million-dollar deals for the company, creating literally millions of dollars of value, and they're like, "Bye, save a quick buck, get the fuck out of here." So I would say, if you're every road is hard. This is what my mom would always tell me: is like every road is hard. It's really hard to just be the wage slave and just grind away day in and day out. It is fucking hard. It's hard to get out of bed. It's hard to go to sleep. It's hard to just drive and keep doing that grind. It is hard to climb the corporate ladder. I mean, it used to be hard and it's way harder today. It's hard to run a business. It's hard to, make it on YouTube. Any path you choose is going to be hard. So you might as well just pick the hard road that's going to get you where you want to go. So
yeah.
what I would say is if you have a family, it does make things harder because when you're single, you could just kind of like invest all the money into yourself. Um, However, I will say that if you have that, I think it does give you a little more motivation because like that's something that could be tough when you're by yourself is like I don't.
For
You
sure.
sometimes feel like, do you have something to fight for? You know, because traditionally throughout history, men, that was our tribe, is for our wives and children. And when you don't have that, you're just like, well, what the fuck am I fighting for? So if you do have that, that can actually kind of maybe help serve as encouragement and motivation to try to find a way out of the system. And this might sound like a weird thing to quote, but if any of you guys have ever seen the 2005 War of the Worlds movie, there's a scene where the one, you know, it's an alien invasion or whatever, and a guy, they like peek through a little hole in the wall looking out at all these giant alien machines, and the guy's like, there's always a hole. Like, no system is perfect. There's always a flaw. So study it and find the flaws. What I found for me personally is I actually have an old version. This will make sense in a second. I had an old version of the comic. It originally was sold digitally, and I ran ads on adult websites because it was the only thing I could run ads on for cheap and get enough views. It's like, it's pennies on the dollar. And to be honest, I would probably do it again if I could find a smarter way to do that ad campaign. If any of you want to steal that idea, do it. Because what I would recommend, do not take them to a product page and try to sell them something, because you won't get conversions. That's what I learned. But if you want to get them to like subscribe to a YouTube channel, that has been done before, so you might want to consider that if you're trying to like build an audience or something, and you want to try that,
Yeah.
you know, being a
Real
little
quick,
edgy.
I wanted
But
to also quickly chime in and because I've
yeah,
gotten this question before a lot too. And I will acknowledge that, like, yeah, you're right. Most of my solutions are just for like young single guys who can't just fuck off to another country or whatever, and which is what I did. I want to preface this advice, if you want to call it that, by saying I am very, very careful. I have to be very, very careful when giving advice to somebody in that situation, because I have not been in that situation. And, I can tell a young single guy, yeah, just fuck off to a different country, live minimalistically, do some bullshit online, YouTube, whatever. And likely you can make it. But I have to be very, very careful about giving any sort of similar advice to somebody with two kids, because you just have a straight up different level of responsibility. And I'm okay with, like, doing whatever you want. You're living in a trash can yourself if you want. That's what I did for many years. But when you got kids, um it's very difficult for me to ethically, maybe not ethically, but like morally give advice when I know, like, two kids' futures could be at stake. So I just got to preface that. Hopefully, you guys get the point. But as far as practical advice I could give, um, I would just say you probably, yeah, can't just check out by moving abroad or living in a van or, all the stuff we talk about. What you'll probably have to do, you'll probably have to just work relentlessly to get the food bill down. You can actually eat pretty healthy and nutritiously instead. In fact, probably even better if you just cook for yourself, try to get on food stamps, go to as many food banks as you can. Do not, okay, I repeat, do not have any shame about receiving any sort of assistance, because Amazon gets like $15 billion of corporate subsidies per year. Like, they can fuck off if they want to shame you over, like, three, four, $500 of food stamps. Like, do not feel any shame in getting any of the assistance. Just try to get like the food costs down as much as possible. And then what you can save up from saving on the food costs, that money you can use to basically do anything David suggested. You want to start a business, you want to start a YouTube channel, you want to do something online, or you just want to invest in the stock market.
oh,
That'll be
I
up to
should
you. But yeah, the first step is
I should
probably just, yeah. Go ahead, David. Yeah.
I just realized something I probably should mention when I was talking about, like, there's always a hole in the system. I think I should specify what on earth that means, because there's a principle that I learned that you can apply to anything you do that'll probably help you find the way out. Because whatever skills you have is going to be unique to you. You know, for me, I'm doing the comics and music. Phil here's got the YouTube channel. What everyone's going to be like, your specific solution is going to be specific to you and what your skill set is. And you do have skills. Everyone's got skills. Like, at some point you got good at something along the way of just being here in life. um, this is what I keep seeing, though, is like, I've been to comic conventions, anime conventions. I've talked with a lot of other people that are trying to, do comics and their art, and I keep seeing the same problem. And this was a problem I used to have. And so the reason my comic gets sales now is it does not look like any other comics on the shelf. Let me show you. A traditional comic book. Here's an example, and here is my book. It is very different in size. It doesn't even, the art style, everything about it does not look remotely like a traditional comic book. And there's nothing wrong with this, but if you walk into a comic shop and your book looks like every other book on the shelf, good luck getting sales. That applies to YouTube. That applies to literally any business model whatsoever. If you are doing what everyone else does, you will only get what everyone else got. And so what you want to do, this is called a blue ocean strategy. So it's named that because a red ocean is red because all the fish have died and it's the waters are bloody because the sharks are having a feeding frenzy. You are one of the sharks in this scenario. You want to go to a blue ocean. It's blue because the fish have not been bloodied in the water because nobody's eating them yet. So you as the shark can come along and it's open season. That's a blue ocean. And so what that means is like, even Phil here, his channel has done that in some ways because, to be honest, I've seen a lot of people complain about our economic struggles, the struggles of Gen Z. What got me interested in Phil's channel in the early days, like I said earlier in the stream, I started following him around 6,000 subscribers, was there was just these little moments that not only would he start talking about solutions, and like back then they weren't like all the way perfectly thought out solutions, but it was just starting to think about, okay, what can we do to fix this, versus other channels that are like, well, everything's fucked, and that was it. Like that's all they had to offer was just more doom and gloom. I'm like, yeah, I know it's screwed up, but like, what are we going to do about it? Because this is my life, you know. I don't want to just accept that.
You can only rehash
So-
that so many times before people get the point and stop watching those videos. So
Yeah. But
yeah.
beyond that, it's like you also started to chip away at like this system that we're always presented, that it's always either you go and accept, oh, I got to support capitalism and socialism bad, or you go the other way, oh, Bernie Sanders, democratic socialism, yay, and capitalism's bad. It's like they're two sides of the same. Like it doesn't matter which side you go to, because either way, it's the end result that becomes the same. Whether it's a more socialist leaning country or capitalist leaning country, it ends up being a class of elite and then everybody else at the bottom of the pyramid. And they want to make
I
as
got
much
a
gap between the two.
yeah. Let me quickly answer I agree with
Oh, yeah,
everything
we
you
have-
said. Which is why like I've tried to lay off like the anti-capital, not because I like capitalism. I hate it just as much as I always have, but I realize the whole capitalism socialism dichotomy, it's the same shit as Democrat Republican, men versus
Yep.
women, all the other ways they try to conquer and divide us. Okay, I have several physical and mental health problems. I'm thinking about applying for disability. Should I? You should have done it like 10 years ago, but better late than never. Yeah, absolutely. Like whatever money you can get in this, if you can get assistance from the government. Remember, as I told the other guy earlier, Amazon gets like $15 billion in subsidies every single year. All right. Elon Musk, who, by the way, just became the first trillionaire. This is why I can tell you none of them are self made. Tesla gets like billions upon billions of government subsidies per year. So does Google. So do all these, big corporations. So you should feel absolutely zero shame whatsoever in applying for government assistance. In fact, if you don't do it and you're potentially eligible, you're missing out on a serious opportunity to get ahead and, even be able to live a little. So, yeah, if you can, absolutely do that. Richard Dong, my older brother. By the way, hi Richard. I'll get in touch with you on Discord. Sorry, I know I'm a boomer with Discord, but I'll definitely get back to you on Discord as well. I enjoy our talks. My older brother recently talked about how his own kids will one day pay for his Social Security while he lives off lower taxes by having kids for 18 years. Yeah, that's. I'm glad he at least has the balls to admit it. Like boomers did that shit and didn't admit they were doing it and then blamed us for it. At least this guy is an asshole, but admits he's an asshole. But yeah, that's a total joke, and I feel sorry more for the kids than anything else. And what else here?
okay, I guess that's about it. And then I also wanted to just quickly bring up that yeah, once again, if you're just joining the stream, we opened up a merch store with a bunch of t-shirts and comics you guys will absolutely love. This one you see on screen here, minimum wage, minimum effort. Yeah. One of the most iconic punchlines from this channel. It was so good we had to put it into a shirt. You can get it for 20 bucks. Not only it helps support the channel, but it helps us bring down this corrupt capitalist system and show everyone that a better world's possible. Because what we did here with this merch store, guys, in case you're just joining, the artist David you see here who created this shirt, who helped us make these shirts, he is getting 50% of the profits we make. I am not, as my channel grows and I become more successful with this, I am making sure I never become the evil capitalist boss I always hate and always complain about and rail against on this channel. I refuse to ever pay people a set bullshit hourly wage to work for me. I don't even say work for me. If you work with me, yeah, you are getting part of the profits of your work, period. And I think that's the first step we got to take in order to eventually be the change we want to see in the world. So yeah, all right, yeah, you could go ahead, David. Finish what you were saying there.
Um, I guess the big thing is like my whole message to people is, and I'm hoping that what we can do with Mjolnir is build a way for some people, but you know, Mjolnir itself may not be appropriate for everybody, depending on what it is you want to do. And right now we're still in the early days, but I am learning the manufacturing of these books, and the goal is to eventually get into T-shirts and doing. Actually, this printer I've got this is a different kind of printer. This printer here, where is it? There it is. It has a special drawer that can print onto CDs. So that means eventually I will be able to actually print graphics onto CDs or even DVDs. So we can eventually get into those kind of things in terms of physical media. But the whole point is trying to build that infrastructure so we can get other people out of that kind of wage slave system. And like I said, so I've got 3 stores at the moment. I already have a list of other targets for expanding. I'm just waiting until I get some more equipment because I'm going to transition to volume books, and then I will start expanding to other stores, including crossing state lines. That's going to be the next hurdle to work on overcoming. Because if I could start to build a distribution network, then we can actually really start to push through for getting other creators out as well. Because online, they can shut you down in 2 seconds. They can remove everything from you, but if you can print and make your own stuff, whether that's comics, whether that's movies, whether that's albums, music, whatever it is, if you get it into the physical world, you can bypass those restrictions. That's the idea of building up a distribution network. Because right now, other people typically rely on a big company to act as a distributor. And then, of course, they can pull everything in 2 seconds. Whereas with Mjolnir, I'm trying to break that down for people, even if it's just starting out adding 1 store at a time. It's like, well, I'm already in 3 and I've got a few more on the radar that I will add in the coming months when I get to the volume books. So all of this is not just, oh, so I can go make a comic. I think some of you guys will enjoy the comic. I would encourage you to go check out the link because it does have some preview pages. So if it sounds interesting, you can order a copy and it's all handmade. But for the rest of you, I know there are many other creative people in this chat, many of you that would like to escape the 9 to 5. Everything that I've been doing is to create a way out for others. That was actually, that's where the name came from. So Mjolnir is a stylized contraction of the phrase, miracles are near. I used to joke with a friend of mine many, many years ago that it would take a miracle for this to get off the ground, but fortunately, I believe in miracles. And I even told that same friend that the whole point of this is to make a way out. Is you're not going to vote your way out of this one, and burning it all down. Like, if you've seen the kind of military tech they've got now, a violent revolution is not going to go the way you think it is. Dude, I get so many people that I find can't even take 5 seconds to respond to a text message. I don't think they're going to risk their lives to fight any military. I'm not trying to be mean here. It's just, I don't think people understand, like, just how much goes into that and how difficult that is. And of course, violent revolutions always kill innocent people as well. And I don't like that. I think there's a much better
I would say
solution.
best to avoid it if we can.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the
Like,
best
I'm
part
not
is,
inherently against it, but like, also, I'm personally not gonna be fighting in them, so like, I
yeah.
wouldn't encourage others to do it. Like,
Well,
but
you just make stuff.
historically, you could say they work, but still,
You
even then,
just
it's at the cost of like many innocent lives. So
yeah,
yeah,
exactly.
better avoid it if possible. Basically, not that
And
if
honestly,
yeah.
remember what they're afraid of. So you talked about Peter Thiel and all these other guys earlier. So they're building those doomsday bunkers. I looked into those. Those bunkers are not equipped to stand a nuclear winter, meaning they're not afraid of nuclear war. They're not afraid of a giant asteroid impact. They're afraid of civil unrest. They're afraid of a world where they're not needed. That is it. That's their fear, is a world where they say, come buy my new AI. And you're just like, I don't care. I don't need it. No. Like, that's what they're afraid of. They're
Which is
afraid
why they're
of,
so hardcore shoving AI down everyone's throats.
yeah.
And yeah.
And,
I don't know
but
what it's like because I haven't had a job for a while, but people who work tell me that like they're being forced to use AI for fucking everything, even when it's not necessary. And it's clearly a part of an like just like they did a great job, unfortunately, at getting us addicted to the algorithms. This is just the next step. Yeah.
well, and the darkest thing about all of it is that like I keep hearing people blaming like dating apps or algorithms or social media or all this stuff for all these problems, but the reality is like we choose to use it. Nobody's forced. Like there are some things you can't really get away with. Like you do kind of have to have a credit or debit card at this time, so there are some things that are very hard to get away from, but like you don't have to doom scroll social media all day. You don't have to, and
I
the other
would
thing
say
is
it's
like,
very, very hard to not have a social media account, period. But we could definitely try to spend less
well,
time
yeah.
on it.
Well,
Yeah.
and at the very least, like, if you're gonna be on it, talk to people. Use it as a way to build connection and relationships. Because, like, I keep seeing that. I know there's been a lot of like a lack of third spaces, but I just discovered a local mall near me, and I'm starting to see some people going out, but it's still not many, and it's hard to like cold approach someone new to get to talk to somebody. So like we have to start doing those things. Um, like we have to be the ones to break down those barriers, and I think we all need to kind
What
of
I
offer
will
each other a little more
say,
grace.
yeah, what I'll say I've noticed with Gen Z as let's just I it was a cringe whole thing, the whole
Yeah.
millennial defense lawyer, but it caught on. So, as your millennial defense lawyer, which you guys have embraced, thankfully, what I have noticed generally about Gen Z is it's not at all that like they don't want to work. They just don't want to work for shit they don't believe in. But what I have noticed with is that for everyone like I work with younger than me, which is a lot of people these days, is that like I have to be the one to take the initiative and to like sell the vision and to like sell them on a vision they believe in. And if I don't do that, then they're just not going to be motivated to do it, period. But once I show them it works, like that's when they're more motivated than ever. So I think if we want to make this change, I think you're right, David. Like somebody has to like take the initiative and make the first move. And then I think like the rest of the generation's just going to follow on and
Yeah.
it'll be like easy pickings from there. But someone has to tip over like that first domino in
Well, and
in the
like
line. And
I
yeah.
like that we've seen that we've had like glitch productions and some indie productions. I mean, Markiplier had a movie hit studios. We've had the back rooms. We're
Yeah, yeah,
seeing
yeah.
people push back
YouTubers are
against.
like beating Star Wars now. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, and I just heard reviews about Spielberg's new movie and people hate it, and so it's like the mainstream Hollywood isn't doing so hot, but now everyday creators are standing a chance. But the problem I have is that like glitch productions, I love glitch productions. I mean, this is their comic actually. Um, but their fundamental business model is the same as other traditional corporations. And to be fair, once upon a time, Mjolnir was also filed as an LLC. I filed it with a few friends, and we were going to do it like a traditional business. So I get the thought process because I did it myself. But that's where I realized over the years, I'm like, oh, what happens like the next generation or the next generation, with the company or whatever, because if you it's the incentive structure that's messed up, and that's why eventually every company ends up going the same way in the long run, is just like trying to, we've got the endless middle management where they don't do much other than breathe down your neck and constantly give you shit. And I've got so many stories about that kind of stuff we can get into some other time, because I used to work at the theme parks. I worked at Disney and Universal, so believe me, I got stories about corporate bureaucracy. But what I've also seen is that a lot of Gen Z criticize the corporations and everything that is messed up. Oh, someone asked, is it filed as a nonprofit now? No, it is not. It is not filed as a nonprofit. I think there's issues with nonprofits in their own right, because they essentially form a corporate bureaucracy to, get like tax exemptions and stuff. I know a lot of that because I used to go to a lot of churches, and they are registered 501c3 nonprofit corporations. There's a lot of messed up stuff with that, but that's a whole rabbit hole you can go down. So technically speaking, there is no official registration for the entity known as Mironir. It is a website, and I guess I have the copyright to it. That's about it. There is no, like, as far as the government is concerned, there is no registered entity. There might be eventually, so I'm not saying I would never register something. It's just not at a point where that makes sense yet. And even if it gets registered, I don't know what that registration would look like now, because what we are building is more of a federation. So, like, if you want an example, it's called Mondragon. It's in Spain. It's a federation of co-ops. So that means every little business, like, the workers own the business. That's what a co-op is. So rather than having shareholders and then workers as two separate groups, it's all the same people. So the person, like, at the cash register is a shareholder in that entity. But Mondragon combines a bunch of co-ops. So that way they have a shared network. So that means if there's like a grocery store and it goes under, those people aren't out of a job. They go shift into the network. And that's the one thing that, like, as much as I don't like big corporate Disney, that was the thing that they did right, was like, I worked at a ride that would like shut down for refurbishment. I didn't lose my job. I didn't have to go, do the job application bullshit again. They just transferred me to another ride. So basically what we want to do with Mironir is create that same kind of idea, is like, let's take advantage of shared infrastructure, but then also respect people's autonomy. So like right now, Phil, if he decides that he doesn't want to do this anymore, within 70, he just needs to give me a 72-hour notice and he can pull everything. That's it. Like, he doesn't owe me a membership fee. There's no like, oh, you got to pay me to break a contract and I own, exclusivity rights. It's like, no, it's just, we work together as long as it serves our interests, as long as we're helping each other. And again, nobody's getting paid unless something sells. So I don't owe him membership dues. He doesn't owe me any membership dues. So that's what I mean, is we're trying to align the incentives to take better care of the customers, take better care of each other. That's it. Nice and simple.
Let
And
me,
so,
yes.
yeah,
Sorry,
go
David.
ahead.
Let me go ahead and answer a couple questions here.
Sure.
This is an interesting question. What is your issue with socialism and communism? I'm a Gen Z communist myself. Have you read any Marx, Lenin, or Trotsky? Even if you don't agree, Marxism is applying science to revolution. So, great question. I think you're gonna like my answer, because the reason I'm not necessarily a communist is not the usual reason. I don't fear that label at this point. Like, I've been called that label like more times than I can count. So no one really fears that label anymore. And I'm not inherently against any of like Marx's theories per se. And I have read a decent amount of them. Here's my issue with communism and socialism. When people say communism has never worked, that's actually not really true. There was one interesting time in history where it did work. You guys can look up the Indus Valley civilization, all right? Most people probably don't know this. There was a mysterious ancient civilization, something like 3000 BC, where they didn't have money, they didn't have classes. Like, archaeologists dug up the ruins of the Indus Valley civilization. They found everyone had the exact same sized house. There was no weapons there, no money there. They couldn't find anything resembling currency. They also didn't see government buildings, which was really, really crazy. So, no government buildings, no money. Everyone has the same house. What does that tell you? That's a classless, stateless, moneyless society, the communist utopia that, like, Karl Marx speaks of. Is there anything wrong with that? No. My issue with that is this. It would be insanely difficult, if not impossible, to replicate the Indus Valley civilization today in the modern world. And I just think just like capitalism, it's outdated now, and it would be impossible to make it work now, because now you're talking like overhauling the entire global financial system and like abolishing all money. If you think you can do it and make it work, and you think you can, replicate the Indus Valley civilization, go for it. Like, don't let me tell you you can't do it. Yeah, I personally just think it's going to be really, really difficult to replicate it today. But you know, you guys are like the revolutionary generation. I'm just like millennial defense lawyer here. So I always say, don't let boomers hold you back from your dreams. Don't even let me hold you back from your dreams. If you think you can successfully do that, go for it. Um, Empire had no currency. Okay, interesting. I'll have to look into that. And then someone here says 4 years unemployed here, been applying for months, not even a job offer, sucks really hard in Romania. I'm actually curious. I've always said like it's slightly, I don't want to say easier, slightly less shitty in Europe than in America for a young person, because you can live with your parents in Europe without much social stigma. How are you surviving without a job? Is it just living with your parents? And is it actually that bad, would you say, to be unemployed? Or is it because society looks down on, like, if society didn't shame you for being unemployed, is it actually objectively bad to be unemployed, I guess is my question. Um, and yeah, I'm just curious what your answers. The reason it worked was because very, very low tech stuff. No, no. For the Indus Valley civilization, no. Like, the Indus Valley civilization had flushable toilets, which we take that for granted today, but it wasn't until about 1900 when we discovered that in the West. So, no, the Indus Valley civilization was incredibly advanced for its time. So you're right in terms of like most ancient civilizations, but this one was an exception. Um, yes, yes, go look it up. Yeah, IVC, Indus Valley Civilization. Yeah. Okay, cool. Yeah, you can go ahead, David. You want to talk about your comics a bit,
Yeah. Well, I'll just
or
say real fast that like
or if
last
you
time
want to
we did a
build on it? Yeah, yeah.
yeah, last time we did a stream, there was a mention of one of them called Beyond Babylon, which is literally about showing like what does a better world look like. I'm still working on this one because I haven't quite figured out what I want to do with certain parts of the story yet, but I feel like a lot of people don't know what things are supposed to look like. So this will hopefully, whenever this one gets done, it'll be called Beyond Babylon, and that one will hopefully illustrate that. But I mean, I don't have a ton more on the comic itself, other than to say that like if you guys like horror and conspiracy stuff as well as dark and more adult humor and punk rock and kind of some action stuff, then you'll probably like this. And it's all hand drawn stuff in the comics. So it literally is about, I mean, the characters themselves are Gen Z, and it's a punk rock band trying to escape the 9 to 5 by playing their music and playing gigs, only to accidentally trigger a war with the literal forces of hell. So if that sounds interesting,
Show him the like pages that, like, give him a little sneak peek visually. And Chris, can you pull up the
well,
comic
it's on the
on the
website
store?
too. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's on the website. There's literal
Yeah.
preview
But
pages posted.
I think they would like seeing the physical copy too.
Yeah. Let me see if I got to be careful because some of these pages I'm not allowed to show on YouTube. See, that's the thing is all your friends, the payment processors, your PayPal, your Square. That is the reason I'm not allowed to post this stuff online, is because you could show people's head explode in incredible gore. That's a-okay. But if you draw a naked person for any reason, no matter what the story is, no go. Doesn't matter if it's an adult, doesn't matter if it's a cartoon, doesn't matter what the reason is. No, can't do that. Even though that's completely natural and normal, and blowing up people's heads is not. So yeah, that I could go off in the weeds about that, but that's what I'm saying too, is that I'm building the infrastructure so that ways we can hopefully eventually get other artists published as well. If you are someone who is interested in comics and art, you're welcome to also message me. I'd be happy to share what I've learned, because that's what I was saying earlier is right now these books have sold in 3 stores, and they have sold without me having to be there to be like, hi guys, please buy my book. You know, a lot of artists go to conventions where they're sitting at a table trying to sell someone something. My books have been able to get some without that. And that's because, again, you go into a comic shop, you see a wall of books that look just like this. And then you see one little book like this, it immediately stands out. So whether you're doing comics, whether you do music, whether you guys get on YouTube, whatever you guys want to try to do to try to get out of the wage slave thing, try to find a unique angle that nobody else is doing. My mom once told me, you know, she was big into like kids cartoons and shows and stuff, and she mentioned like the next Barney is not going to be a purple dinosaur. See, a lot of people look at Barney and they'll say, oh, it's a purple dinosaur, so I'm going to make a blue dinosaur. It's like, yeah, but you're still making a dinosaur thing for kids. It's not going to go anywhere because Barney's already there. If you look at the big corporations and say, I'm going to emulate what they're doing, they're going to kick your ass. If you look at Marvel or DC and you try to make comics like them, they will bury you because they've been doing it longer than you. They have giant printing presses like you wouldn't believe that can churn out hundreds of thousands of copies. You don't stand a chance against that. However, I made a completely unique format. This is my books are 6 by 4 inches. I could not find a mainstream comic of that size. In fact, even the printing companies, they will not print 6 by 4. And then the interior of the book is actually read landscape like a calendar. So traditional comics, you read like a normal book. Mine, you flip them up like this, read top to bottom. So I'm not the first person to do that. That has been done on occasion in comics, but I do think it's a really fun format. A lot of my readers have said they really enjoy that format. So if you're want to do comics or something, maybe think about that. I mean, hell, you could do a novel like that. I mean, imagine reading like a proper novel, but you have it like kind of this format. It's really comfortable to hold in your hand too. You can see I can hold it one-handed, whereas the big comic book, you know, you can't really do that. So any of you guys want to get into like writing novels, writing poetry, anything like that, maybe think about ways you can present the book that doesn't look like, if your book looks like everyone else's book, it's just going to get overlooked. If your YouTube channel, if your thumbnails, if your video format, if all of it looks like Mr. Beast, he's going to kick your ass because he's been doing it longer and he's better at it. If you try to what's this? How did you find that producer and how are you doing that? I'm not sure. Is that a question for Phil or is that a question for me? Right? I'm not sure what he's meaning.
Actually, good question. Yeah. I think I'm gonna answer a couple more questions and
Yeah,
then
yeah.
we can wrap up
Well,
this
that's
live
all. I guess
stream.
that's my big message is just if you
Yeah,
try
I
to
love it
emulate
too.
the big
Yeah.
guys, you will fail. They will kick your ass. And too many people keep trying to emulate the big guys. The reason I can like my comic books cost like the price that people have paid for these is more than this. This goes for $4 to $5, this $7. And that's because I've made something new. And well, of course, I'm making it by hand too. But that's what I mean is like if you try to emulate the big corporations, like tell them to fuck themselves. Why if you're an animator, don't animate at 12 or 24 frames per second. Do like 18, do 15, do something weird. We have barely scratched the surface with what we can do creatively with art, and yet everyone just keeps doing industry standards. But at some point, they had to make up those industry standards. So tell them to go fuck themselves and make your own standards. That's where you can compete. That's where
I
you
love
carve
it.
out a
I love
unique
it.
lane that only you can do. Gen Z has the power to be like, we could
You
see an
yeah, yeah.
artistic
You
revolution,
create like don't
and that's where you
instead
make
of
more
playing
money
their
too.
game, you create your own game, and
Exactly.
that's how we gotta do it because their game is
And
rigged,
hopefully,
as we all
hopefully
know.
we'll get some more of you in Mjolnir in time. I'm working my ass off to build infrastructure, not for myself, well, partly for myself, but so other guys and girls can join Mjolnir in the future and get their
Yeah,
own stuff
yeah,
published.
we're
So
really
in time,
one thing I will say I appreciate about you guys is I actually do love how you keep it so real with me. You're not an echo chamber. You criticize me when, I could be doing something better. And a lot of you have told me, yeah, you're great at complaining about problems, but like, do you have any solutions? And this is what inspired this. So, don't be a yes man even for me. Keep criticizing me when it's constructive, when it's going to lead to something better because um that's what kicked this whole thing off with Mirror. Let me answer a few quick questions here.
yeah.
So I
Your guy
live with
asked
my
about the
mom
producer.
while my father is terminally ill. My brother doesn't care about me and my mom unless something is really bad, and Romania is sitting bad at the moment with the government. So, I'm sorry about your brother and I'm sorry about your situation in general. What I will say is this, I don't know I'm going to give some very specific advice to you here. I don't know how much this idea would interest you, if you even have any interest or desire to start YouTube, but as a YouTuber myself, your situation, if you figure out a way to package and articulate it well enough, it would get a lot of views. Like, a lot of people would watch it because so many people are struggling right now and they need to hear your story, your situation, and how you're dealing with it all. So that they can know that they're not alone in all this, you know? So if you have the talent, the desire, the ability, you know, the wherewithal to try and start something on YouTube, yeah, I'd recommend just, you know, throwing up the camera, being authentic, describing your life story, and I think a lot of people will be able to relate. I need to find somewhere safe where I can work on building something new. I'd love to start a Gen Z commune. Yeah, we actually have I got to get more active on Discord, guys. There were a couple of people on Discord who wanted to start similar self-sustaining commune like projects. And okay, if the word commune is too scary, you can call it whatever you want, intentional community, whatever. But you guys get the idea. I'll definitely join our Discord. Chris, can you quickly put the Discord link in the description? Join our Discord. There is a group where people are actually working on one of those types of projects, and I think one of these days, guys, I'll probably like eventually go public with my identity, and so then I can like be more hands-on involving in building these projects myself, because as time goes on, I become more and more passionate about, you know, I gotta eventually do something physical out there to help all of us escape this, instead of just being another YouTuber who's gonna sit on his ass, complain about it, collect the nice AdSense easy money, and, you know, ultimately eventually just become a part of the problem at the end of the day. So yeah, I'm working on it. Just yeah, give me some time, guys, and yeah, I'll do my best here as your defense lawyer. um my mom may be making around 4K a month now at her school job, yet she never acknowledges the commute gas costs on the job expenses, the fact she can't work from home. This is the whole paying to work thing. That was one of our first most popular video subjects. If you need an excuse to tell your boomer parents why you don't want to get a job, you can explain to them the basic math that at this point, having a job costs more than the job itself pays you. You know, when you factor in all the money you got to spend to buy the car in the first place, to pay for the cost, you didn't go far enough, because you didn't even mention how much the car itself costs in the first place. Yeah. Once you factor that, let's say a new car costs like 20,000 at least, you know, her $4,000 after taxes is probably 3. So we're talking like she's got to work 7 months just to pay off the car that it costs to get to work in the first place. So it's like 7 months of your wages before you've even started working, just for the right to get to work. This is why I know it's not good anywhere around the world, but I think you got to get out of America as possible. If possible. I think America's still the worst because of the fact that you have to have a car there, and having a car is just so goddamn expensive. Who's the guy who told me to move to Vietnam? Can you pay my passport, plane ticket? If you're serious, I'd be down to, you know, I don't know, help you start a GoFundMe or something like that. Because yeah, at this point, what do you even have to lose? Um, yeah. Damn, even lawyers are living at home with their parents now. Boy, we are screwed. Just jokes. I actually did hear Harvard grads, Gen Z Harvard grads are having a hard time getting jobs now. I think the unemployment rate's something like 23% for recent Harvard grads. So I'm actually just really curious what the next evolution in gaslighting is from boomers going to be. Because at first it was, you need to go to college. And then it was, well, you need to learn to code. You need to get a serious degree. And then after that, we did that, still didn't work. Then the vice, well, you just didn't get into a good enough school. Well, now that people who even got into Harvard can't get a jobs, Yeah, I really got to see what is their next line of gaslighting gonna be? What you have to
You must merge
you
with the
have to upload
machines.
your mind onto a super conscious AI and know every fucking thing in the world in order to get a job. Otherwise,
Actually,
you're entitled.
I have a theory about that, by the way, real fast.
Okay.
My theory is that, like, I don't think consciousness is purely material. I think it goes beyond just the
It
physical
can't be. It
brain.
can't be. I agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, go ahead.
So
Yeah.
my theory is that if you quote unquote upload your brain to a computer, it's just going to kill you. And then the machine, because they're collecting so much data on us, is just going to emulate you. So people think, oh my goodness, there's grandpa. But it's like, no, he's dead. It's just a computer mimicking him. So you think it works. So you line up and get your brain uploaded too, which just kills you. Like, that's my theory, anyways. I wouldn't be surprised.
I would largely agree. I mean, and kind of you can technically already do that. Like, not in the brain upload sense, but like if you want to ask ChatGPT to like emulate Abraham Lincoln or
Yeah, yeah.
whatever historical, it can do that with pretty relatively good accuracy. So yeah. Okay, I think we can just about wrap up this live stream here. David, did you want to add anything else or any final questions in the chat?
I'm looking because that one comment we had there was that one man Web3 is the username was asking about emulating the comic style. So if you're listening, I just sent you a message. Just click on the Reverend of Punk YouTube channel. I've posted some videos about how I make them, or you can also on the Philosophical Gamer Discord. You can look up David Alexander. Pretty easy to find me. Um, I can answer questions directly if you want to just shoot me a message on
Yeah.
Discord. I'm on there a lot. And someone else posted here. They said there was this is what is Moses Chan controlled antinatalism, where the irresponsible boomers who only want to give birth for their children to work for them are discouraged to give birth. I just had a friend of mine. I'm he was I think he's 27 and his wife's 26 if I'm not mistaken, and they just had a daughter recently. It's only 4 months old, and it's been hard for both of them because they're basically alternating shifts just to make ends meet for the time being. However, both of them have told me like that they have no regrets, and they're like they basically said if we waited till things were better, we'd be in our 40s before we even talked about having a kid. So we'd rather have one and have that joy. So everyone that keeps all those videos that are like people going like, yeah, dating is so fucked, man. So I'm just gonna stay single and stick it to the man. I'm not gonna have kids. I'll show them. It's like you're just hurting yourself. You're just missing out because everybody that I personally know, like I don't have kids, but everyone that I would love to, and everyone that I have met that has them, has basically told me like I would never trade this for anything in the world. So don't buy into the propaganda. They want you to give up. They want you to give up on dating. They want you to give up on relationships. They want you to give up on marriage. They want you to give up on family. They want you to give up on community. Because if you give up on all of these things, you are easily controlled. And so my message is just what it's been this whole time. There are holes in every system legally, by the way. And right now, that is, you can just not need them. And the more independent people you support, the more independent artists. If you can get local farmers, that's great. I know not all of you have access to that, but definitely, I think there's some local farmers that actually do ship. I think there's a service, I forget the name, so you might want to do some research, but definitely look at getting from local businesses, local farmers. I even just had lunch earlier from a local place, and it's all locally sourced. And the funny thing is, it was cheaper than going to the fucking drive-through at Wendy's. That to me is just like they have lost the thread so much that now it is becoming financially viable to support those kind of people.
Oh yeah, because even fast food's not even like cheap anymore
I
at this
know
point.
it's
Yeah.
straight poison. So it's like I can get or basically a meal that's like organic for the same price. So that's how we're going to really push back is to start supporting each other. Like I said, I hope to create infrastructure with Mjolnir because not everybody gets into the business stuff. It's a lot to learn, and most people that do get into it just become another like corporate kind of shill type person, doing the same old, same old. I taught
Corporate shit.
myself, yeah, I taught myself all the business like stuff about dealing with, profit margins and, cost of goods sold and MSRP and all these little terms that people don't take the time to learn. I read through corporate reports, quarterly reports, annual reports, filings. So I studied like all their business models, how they work, where's the money going, where are they making money, can they raise the wages? The answer is no, by the way. Walmart cannot raise their wages. No union, no legislation will change that. Literally, their business model does not have enough profit margin. They can never pay a living wage. So if you work for Walmart, try to get out. That's what I mean. We got to stop supporting these people. Their business models are fucked. And honestly, I may not have sold like hundreds of comics, but I have sold books in all 3 stores and online. I am making sales, and my profit margins are much higher, so I can actually pay myself, and hopefully if I ever get others working with me on this, that they could be paid more as well. And that's the same thing we're doing with the shirts, is trying to make sure everyone's getting paid more for their labor and for their work that they're putting into all this stuff. So we can run better businesses. We can show them how it's done. We can take better care of each other. So my last call to you guys, if any of you are able to do so, I know some people don't have the funds. That's perfectly fine. It's a tough economy. If you're able to do so, go to Mjolnir.com, get yourself a cool shirt to support this channel, support Phil, to support Chris and myself. You can also go pick up the entire first volume of the Epic of Morgan and Pops. You'll get a bag like this. It's got 3 chapters and a bonus book for free, the little bonus book. Those get shipped directly to you in a nice little envelope. So if you value having handmade stuff and hand-drawn art, you might want to check that out as well. And there's preview pages, so if you want to take a look at what's inside the book, just go to the website. So that's if you want to support that. And of course, we have the long-term vision of this federation where we can eventually onboard other creators as well. That's why I'm learning how to get into physical stores, to break through those barriers, not just for myself, not just for Phil and Chris here, but for the rest of you guys, because somebody has to do it. And as Phil said earlier, once somebody breaks through a barrier, other people see it's possible and they follow suit. So even if you yourself never buy from Mjolnir, never join Mjolnir, I hope that we can at least be a trailblazer that teaches the rest of you how to create an alternative. Because just to quote, if you guys love the movie The Matrix, one of my favorite films of all time, the ending where Neo says, I'm going to show these people something you don't want them to see. I'm going to show them a world without you. That's what they're afraid of. Nobody, Bill Gates is not afraid of guns, okay? They have more guns. They have drones. They have laser weapons, direct energy weapons. You're not going to win that fight. I live out in the countryside. Everyone's packing out here. But I can tell you right now, your little pea shooter ain't going to do shit. Sorry. I hate to break it to you. You're not winning that one. And you're not going to win by burning it down. Like, none of that's going to work. That's all demoralizing. That's what we do with these shirts. We try to create messaging that was uplifting. That's why it's like, I would rather live than work a 9 to 5, because anybody can die. Anybody could just say, fuck it, it's all ruined, and just, we'll just off ourselves. But what's the point? They win. If you give up on having community, there's a lot of touch starvation, a lot of depression today. If you just give up and give in to despair, they win. That is the point. You're not a threat. But if you say, I refuse to accept that, I refuse to believe I'm just going to be alone forever, I refuse to accept that I'm not going to have a family or not have kids, or I'm just going to be a wage slave, I refuse to accept all of this. It's all about faith. That's why the tagline for Mjolnir is faith with fangs, is because the system is glued together by faith. That's it. Government is not a real thing. It is a belief. You believe in it. Economic systems are belief. The US dollar is a belief. You have to have faith in these things. So everybody seems to have faith in, like, oh, I worked a job and they gave me this little fiat currency that really isn't anything. Well, why don't we have faith in each other? Why don't we have faith in God and faith in things that are transcendent, faith in family, community, real art, real work? We can choose to believe. That's all it is we choose what we believe in every day. It's not a one-time choice. You make it every day. So for all of you out there, whatever your situation is, don't let them demoralize you. Don't let them tell you, we've got you by the balls, because that's what they want you to think. It's like every prison movie. They're like, don't even think about trying to escape. The walls are, 20 feet high and 6 feet thick. It's like, well, if I can't escape, why do you even need to tell me that? It's because if you believe there's a way out, if you refuse to accept the cage, then eventually you will find a way out. So that's my encouragement to all of you, no matter where you are. That is the whole message of Mjolnir, is trying to say there is a better future, a brighter future. So don't give in to the doomer talk. Don't give into that stuff. That's what they want you to do. If you're working the 9 to 5, if you're stuck in unemployment, whatever your situation, those are temporary things. You can get out of all of those. It's not easy. Right now, I got out of my 9 to 5, but I'm working a remote job, and quite honestly, it's not going well. Kind of sucks. Not making much money. That's why I'm working on the Mjolnir stuff. But the thing is, like, even that day job, I spent years trying to get out of it. And that's where I eventually landed the remote job that transitioned me to the next step. Now that job is allowing me to get to the next step, which is fully self-employed. So that's the transition I'm working on now. So it's a phased kind of thing. You have to just think about it in those terms. It's not all instant gratification. You have to like strategize of, okay, let me just figure out this one thing that I can fix and then just work on it relentlessly, you know? So that's really what it's going to come down to. And every single one of you in this chat, every one of you who watches this on the replay is capable of that. The fact that you're watching the video means you're cognitively functional enough to do something. So don't let anyone tell you otherwise. So I think that's about it for me. And I like to say here at Mjolnir, just Godspeed and rock on.
Love it,
Yes,
man.
sir.
That was I got goosebumps from that. Truly
All
inspirational.
right, I went on a speech there. I'm practicing for becoming dictator. I don't want to be a dictator,
Don't
by the
tell
way.
'em
That's
our
a joke.
secret
Don't
plan
make me a
here.
dictator. You'll regret it. That's a bad idea. Don't make
Trust me.
anybody a dictator.
Yeah, dictators are
All right,
bad.
thank you all for tuning in. Thank you all so much for 50,000 subscribers. Thank you all for continuing to be not just a wonderful community, but a critical one. You've made me a better content creator. I'm going to continue to do these projects to be the change I want to see in the world instead of just another YouTuber who starts off being real with you all and then devolves into like, you know, just another corporate show who goes to the dark side. So yeah, doing my best here. Light at the end of the tunnel. Let's do this together, guys. Yeah, thank you all for tuning in and have a good rest of the day, rest of the night, wherever you are. I will see you all in the next video, which will probably be coming out soon here. All right, guys. Yeah, you all have a wonderful day.
Goodbye.